All right. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. So very happy to be here. My name is Jennifer Petrilli, and I am the managing director of the Canadian Network for Arts and Learning. It's a little awkward. You can see me many different screens. Yeah, we're very happy to be partnering with the Labrador Creative Arts Festival on this on this event. And I just wanted to start off by acknowledging that the lands and waters on which we gather are the homelands of the Innu and Inuit of Labrador, and we recognize their ancestral and continued ties to these lands and waters. Um, so, just starting off, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background about the Canadian Network for Arts and Learning. So we're a national network and we try to bring together artist educators, so arts teachers, teachers from the schools, artists. We want to bring together decision makers. And what we're trying to do is get more arts in schools, more arts in communities. We want to raise awareness of the importance and the value of the arts and the impact that they have on communities and on people's mental health and just to get more support and more money for the arts and funding. Yes. Yes. Okay. Is that okay? Okay. So that's a bit of what we do. How we do this is through events like this. We bring together the arts education communities across Canada. We have now, since the beginning of the pandemic, like everybody else, we have introduced a lot more virtual events, and we get people together for networking, for learning new skills, talking about their successes, etc. So, and finding out what the challenges are in the sector so that we can create resources and help out the sector, give people what they need to be able to advocate for themselves as artist educators, advocate for the arts in general, and also learn new skills for their own practice as arts teachers and whatnot. So I'm just going to show you a little video about um, our main initiative that we are doing right now, which is called Canada's Map of Arts and Learning, because we learned that people wanted to know what was happening across Canada for in the arts education sector.
The Canadian Network for Arts and Learning envisions a world in which the arts and creativity are recognized as integral to the learning process, both at school and throughout life. For more than a decade, the network has strengthened the arts and learning sector in Canada by hosting national conferences and local networking events, launching relevant research studies, and gathering valuable resources and making them accessible for arts practitioners and the public. In 2016, the Canadian Network for Arts and Learning began working on a digital map to show the scope of arts-based learning in Canadian schools and communities. Now featuring almost 10,000 profiles, Canada's Map of Arts and Learning has become an important tool for promoting arts education and increasing the discoverability of arts learning opportunities for the public. In 2019, with the support of the Canada Council for the Arts, the network began working on a strategy to expand our digital capacity and to make participating in the arts more accessible for Canadians. Having already built a solid digital infrastructure, the Canadian Network for Arts and Learning was ideally positioned to support the arts sector through the extraordinary challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, the network continued to strengthen the sector by hosting virtual discussions and webinars, promoting online arts instruction to the public, compiling and sharing information about emergency resources, and celebrating the incredible work being done by arts practitioners despite seemingly insurmountable challenges. As we continue to work towards advocating for arts education and the important role it can play in building creative capacities for the 21st century, we can now confidently move forward with a clear understanding that arts education can thrive in the virtual realm. Join us as we continue to increase access to meaningful arts experiences for all Canadians, cultivating a more creative, innovative, and prosperous Canada.
And the Canada's Map of Arts and Learning is also a great resource for artists, although not arts for art's sake, but for artists who do arts instruction. So if we're talking about entrepreneurship, if they want to start a business as an instructor who does virtual lessons, or they want to let people across Canada know that they can offer lessons to them, then that's where Canada's Map of Arts and Learning comes into play, as well as our other resources on our website. So I want to pass it over to Tim Borlase, who with the Labrador Creative Arts Festival, to talk a little bit more about the Arts Festival. I know you're all familiar with it as oops, what happened here? Sorry, as being participants, but this is also we're recording this, and people are joining us nationally via Zoom. So give them a bit of background on it too. You should sit down.
Oh, thanks. I'm a bit. I'll try this. I'm Tim Borlase, and I've been involved with the Labrador Creative Arts Festival since it started in 1974. So it's 47 years old. And I think with that, we believe it's one of the oldest festivals of the arts for young people in Canada, if not the oldest. And we focus on, we're very happy here today to have the representatives, teachers and students from Makovic, Cartwright, and Postville, which are all coastal Labrador communities, and they have been coming for many, many years to this festival. The festival is about the idea of creating your own work, and involves all the arts, art, music, drama, dance, also some multidisciplinary activity. And all the people that are present today are also have written their own play and presented it on our stage. So since COVID, the festival is now offering virtual workshops, as well as this year we're pleased to be able to bring the live plays back. And last June we also introduced a film festival aspect to the arts festival, so that if you could not travel or couldn't because of COVID, you could make a film of your play and bring it to have it sent to the festival. And when you do that, your film is shown to the other communities that are involved in the festival, and also all your community itself. So your parents or your friends can watch the film of your play at their own leisure. So that's been a great addition. The other great addition because of COVID is that in every case, the communities use their own artists in the community to become visual visiting artists in the festival. So we had many more artists engaged in being part of the festival. So there's 20 schools in Labrador, and last year we reached 19 of the 20 schools. So, and it's a huge geographic area, and it's comprised of French, Innu, Amun, Inuktitut, and English students. And we're very proud that I guess the festival, thanks to the people that get involved in it every year, are still keeping the festival going. And we hope we make 50 years. So hang in there, you guys. 3 more years. Okay.
Great. Thanks very much, Tim. So now I am delighted to pass it over to Small Economy Works. We've got Rachael Borlase and Haley White, and they're going to take over the presentation.
Hello, everybody. What's really interesting about this webinar is that, and it wasn't mentioned, I don't think, at the beginning, is that we have a room full of people representing multiple communities from Labrador. Who's in the room? What communities are here with us? We have Makkovik, Cartwright, Hostville, and we have some visiting artists for the festival as well. So we have students in this room, we have teachers in this room, and we also have artists stroke entrepreneurs in this room. So the way that this is going to go, I hope this doesn't sink again, is that I'm just going to introduce a little bit about Small Economy Works. And then my colleague Haley, who has traveled here from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, although she sometimes lives in Winnipeg, is going to take you through her journey of self-discovery, traditional and cultural reclamation, learning how to craft and use her traditional skills that were passed down from her ancestors to actually start quite a successful and increasingly thriving small business. So we both work for Small Economy Works, which is a nationwide social enterprise that mainly works in rural, remote, and northern communities to help young people become leaders and entrepreneurs in their communities and to help shape the economy in their own communities and on their own terms. That's kind of our mission and our mandate. And right now we were invited to the Labrador Creative Arts Festival to kind of start to promote our work here. We have a long history of working in Nunavut. We've been working there with young people since 2015. And most recently have also started up programs in Yukon and Northwest Territories. But I'm an alumni of the Labrador Creative Arts Festival, and I grew up in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. And when I started working for Small Economy Works a couple of years ago, I thought, this is a program and this is a way of looking at the world that I wish I had had when I was a student, you know, here 25 years ago now. So we're here because I'd like to, as the director of the organization, we have a founder and a CEO, and I sort of run the day-to-day of the programming of the operation. We would really like to bring our work more meaningfully to Labrador. So that's what Haley's kind of here to do, is to take you through her journey, and I'll kind of give you an overview of what we do. So we really start with a lot of the same principles that the Labrador Creative Arts Festival starts with when we think about youth. And it's really just helping them. The Arts Festival kind of uses the arts to help young people navigate their way and understand the world around them. And really, that's how you start thinking like an entrepreneur as well. So really, the foundational skills of becoming an artist and becoming an entrepreneur are two sides of the same coin. We use things like problem solving. Increasingly, there's a need to have strong digital literacy skills. You need to be able to think on your feet and problem solve. You need to be able to adapt to the world around you and actually try and shape the world around you. And all of those foundational skills are skills that I see, you know, when you're listening to all the plays that we've been hearing out of the Labrador Creative Arts Festival, whether the plays are about social justice and gender dynamics, or navigating, you know, issues at school or in your community. Those are all things that entrepreneurs think about as they try to build a service or build a product that will meet the certain needs of the community. So we run a 12-week journey or program called Inspire. So we have an Inspire Yukon, an Inspire Nunavut, an Inspire Northwest Territories, hopefully soon to have an Inspire Labrador. And what's really unique about the program that we offer is that it's very much rooted in local context. So we really believe that, you know, finding solutions to problems have to be rooted in a strong understanding of community before you can come up with solutions. Not only a strong understanding of the communities, but a strong understanding of yourself and what are your gifts and assets and beliefs that you can bring to a solution. And so all of our programs are very much contextualized to the local economy or the local territory in which we work. So our programs feature all local instructors and coordinators. Our curriculum is informed by local, often Indigenous educational experts from the places in which we work. All of the businesses and the artists and the leaders we feature in our program come from those communities. And that's really important because the young people that go through our program see themselves in the content. And they're not just learning about entrepreneurship from the South or from a really generic perspective. So the other thing that we're increasingly doing, and we know educational programs increasingly need to do, especially if you're working in the North and in Indigenous communities in particular, is offering a really holistic approach to education. So we meet participants where they're at. They don't need to meet a certain criteria to gain entrance into the program. They don't need to go through some sort of very linear step-by-step process to graduate from it either. And we really take things into account like mental health. We offer really strong mental health supports in our program. On the land activities complement the entrepreneurship activities. We offer supports to childcare because a lot of our participants are single mothers who come into the program, and we don't want childcare to be a barrier to them being able to participate. And so the majority of the people that come through our program are people often that have graduated from high school, or maybe they haven't fully graduated from high school yet, and they're just trying to get back on their feet. And they're trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. Some of them actually have really concrete business ideas that they want to try and test and validate through our program. But the whole point is our place is an inclusive place for people who just want to try things, who have an idea that they want to test out in a very safe and supportive environment. And so some of our participants really go on to becoming very successful entrepreneurs like Haley. Some people just go on to maybe get a new job. Some people decide that they're going to go back and finish their high school education. Some people start going to the gym. So there's a really range of different outcomes that come from our program. Oh, I'm not, oh, sorry, I've been flicking my own PowerPoint, sorry. So, oh, is it moving? Right. So sorry, here are all the nice visuals that I had for my PowerPoint that nobody has been able to see. This is actually one of the graduates of our program is an illustrator from Fort Providence, Northwest Territories. And out of she was very well known, and some of in her community, a lot of the local groups would get her to kind of illustrate logos and things for their businesses. But through our program, her work has really expanded, and now she's being hired to kind of illustrate for reports. She's our main illustrator for our strategic plan. She's now got a website. She's actually traveling all over the North now. So her business has really blossomed, and this is Elaine, oh my goodness, her surname escapes me, Elaine Landry from Fort Providence, Newfoundland. So we really try to showcase a lot of the work of the people that go through our program. And so right now, these are all the communities in the North. There's 43 in total that we've reached, and we're really hoping we'll be able to put Labrador on this map in the next few months. This is an example of another one of our graduates, Max Anguk from Whale Cove, Nunavut. She has a clothing company that is supposed to be a conversation starter, sort of based on her story of experiencing a lot of lateral violence. And actually her sister ended up taking her own life because of a lot of lateral violence that existed in their community. And she really is trying to overcome that through her Lateral Love Designs brand. And one really cool thing about what we do with sort of the graduates that are able to kind of get through the foundations of our program is we put them when they're really actually quite serious about starting a gamification starting a business, rather than just say, okay, here's $10,000, go for it. We've really broken down how you start a business into very small bite-sized steps that young people of the program can kind of work through and get rewards for certain things that they do. So Max, who you've just seen, is now one of our graduates kind of working through the various steps of starting a business. And so what you do is you kind of do one thing. You might do a mission statement for your business, and then we will reward you with a bit of money to go and help someone design a logo for you. You might submit your first year budget, and we will give you access to a bookkeeper who can kind of help go through that with you. So this is quite a novel way. And again, it's about people directing themselves on where they're at in their business and what they want to achieve. I'm going to stop here and introduce you to Haley, who really can bring this much more tangibly to life than what I've been able to do. So Haley will talk to you about her business, Haley's Handicrafts.
Hello, everybody. My name is Haley Alakan White. I am an Inuk artist from Rankin Inlet, Nunavut. Rankin Inlet is about 3,000 people there right now. And our community just keeps on growing. It's a very sports orientated community, which was really unfortunate for me because I am not a sports person, did not enjoy it at all. And so how Haley's Handicrafts began, one moment, please. So this is my how I started, and you guys can ask questions afterwards. So it was created in a dark time in my life. So basically I was depressed and I was anxious and I was like, nope, I didn't want to do anything anymore. I was unemployed. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to climb out of this hole I dug myself into. And I started to sew. I started to craft. I started to create art. And the best thing about that was that my first year, does anyone want to guess what I made that first year? Yes, that is correct. I made nothing. I made no money my first year in Haley's Handicrafts. But I did learn after that first year how to do pricing. So I was like a super anxious person, but I was like, you know what? I love my crafting. I love my culture and my traditions. And so I started to create mitts, and they are the Inuit style mitts. I also started to create parkas. And then I learned how to do caribou tufting. And then I learned how to do lino printing, and I'm dabbling in everything I could touch. And so a little goal for Haley's Handicrafts was that I want to teach, I want to help people in rural and remote communities in Canada how to create art and how to become a small business owner. And so with that, I made a lot of mistakes in my first year. I borrowed sealskin pelts that I still owe my mom from my mother. And I made, again, no money. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to price it at this. It's fine. It was not fine. It was far from fine. And so I hired my friend who helped me with my Excel sheets, and she helped me price out the furs. And what I mean by that is, let me show you. So let's do some math, which I'm not the best at. A sealskin pelt is about this size, and this cost $315 without taxes or shipping. I can get 2 to 3 pairs of adult mitts, and then you have to have the fox fur trim or the raccoon trim on your mitt to make it fluffy and warm. And those start from $279. And I could get 4 pairs out of that. It was wild. And so this is my original price list. And just look how affordable they were. Ladies' mitts start at $200. It was not good at all, guys. And so once again, I did not make any money that first year. And so I'm going to show you my spreadsheets, which I'm super proud about. Right here. So the material cost is $340 for a sealskin pelt. And it costs around $260 for fox fur, a regular fox fur, not the fancy silver fox fur. The leather palm, a leather is about $250. And so I used about 28% of material, 25% of material, and about 1% of material for the mitts. And so the cost per pair ended up being $162. I now price my items quite higher. So I'm going to say $300 now for an adult sealskin mitt with regular fox fur. My profit is $137.30. And my hourly wages, and it takes me 9 hours, guys, to make a pair of mitts. So I charge myself minimum wage because I want people to be able to afford and use my products, because I want my products to be timeless. I want them to be culturally sustainable. And so with Haley's Handicrafts, that is some of my values. Do you have any more questions? Do you guys have any questions about Haley's Handicrafts?
What was the first thing you made?
The first thing I made was sealskin mitts. I learned how to sew when I was about 7 years of age. My grandmother taught me, and then my mom taught me. And then I had my aunt teach me how to make parkas, and I'm forever grateful for them. The first thing I ever sewed was a wall hanging. Oh, sold. So the first thing I ever sold, guys, was a pair of mitts. It was adult pair of mitts, and I sold them for about $180. Made no money from that pair at all.
Can I ask a follow-up question on it was really interesting, like for somebody that purchases a lot of these things, it's been really enlightening for me to see, you know, how much profit, how much work goes into it, first of all, because I've observed Haley working in beading and in tufting, and I just can't believe the intricate amount of detailed work that goes into it. But just the point you were highlighting, Haley, that through a $300 pair of mitts, by the time you break down the material costs and put those aside, and then the hours it takes, you are paying yourself $15 an hour to make an exquisite piece of art for somebody.
That is correct. I am paying myself minimum wage to create art, wearable art, actually.
So is that like, why aren't you charging more?
So the reason I'm not charging more for my products is because I want them to be affordable still to like the everyday person. Up north in Rankin Inlet, Nunavut, it's quite expensive to live there. As you can see, the fur costs are quite expensive, as are the shipping costs. And so is the food, as well as clothing for children. And I just want everybody to be able to afford a pair of mitts that will last them years. So that is one of my values, is that it's like affordable for everybody. Any other questions?
How are you doing now?
So how I am doing now is very excellent. The profit I made this year was, for my small business, was $25,000. Yeah, so soon I'm gonna have to start paying taxes, which I'm not impressed about. And so, guys, also the reason why I feel like my business is succeeding is because I set small goals for myself. So a few goals that I made for myself for Haley's Handicrafts was to get my numbers right, and I did that. Another goal for Haley's Handicrafts was to start going into markets, and I did that. And you know what? I started making connections with people, companies, organizations. And so now I'm able to travel all through Canada and to teach about Haley's Handicrafts and Caribou Tufting and other art. So another goal for Haley's Handicrafts was that I want to teach. I want everybody to learn how to create. I want people who are not necessarily into sports. I want them to have something to do, which is why whenever I teach, I make sure that the kids go home with the students or with elders or with whoever's taking my class. That way you guys can keep continuing on. Any other questions? Cool. So I'm just going to show you why it's important to have a logo. So my logo, oh, not that one, but you can see how cute I am. So I have a Facebook page as well as an Instagram page, but I am working on a website. The reason I'm working on a website is because social media platforms are not friendly to people who live in the north. What I mean by that is that Facebook and Instagram love to flag your account just because you have like items such as seal skin or antler or bone and stuff that you find on the land. My accounts almost have been banned and deleted because people have been flagging it. So has Facebook. So I will be creating my own website. I am a procrastinator, but I will be creating a website shortly for Haley's Handicrafts. That way people can purchase and read a blog and have fun little information about Haley's Handicrafts.
Who made your website, your logo, Haley, and what does it sort of signify? So I created my Haley's Handicrafts logo, but I got it professionally done through Etsy in 2018-19. However, I would love to rebrand one day, but that is a lot of money to rebrand. So you guys should really think about your goals and before you start a business, because rebranding is expensive. So Haley's is my first name. The Handicrafts is because I make a lot of handcrafted items. And I have Inuit tattoos because I am Inuk. And so I put that there because they just represent myself and my culture. And I am not like ashamed of my culture. I love it. It's fantastic. So you will see like occasionally some gory pictures on there. But I'm going to show you guys the process to create the colored caribou fur that you have in your kits. So from materials to art, basically I grabbed a caribou fur and it was so fun because I just love shopping for fur. It was really big, this caribou fur. I lined it up, cut them into lines and strips. And after that, you have to wash it first in soapy water to get all the grease out. And then you put some vinegar inside hot water, make sure the water is not boiling or else your skin will get hard and crack and it's not fun to work with. So just make sure it's the perfect temperature. After that, you rinse it and then you dry it, which takes a few days if you're living in the South, which I was for this instant. And then afterwards, you can create art like this. So I'm not necessarily the best at caribou tufting, but my students are. They aim for what we're going to be aiming for progress and not perfection for this class that I'll be teaching. So you can see how tiny her tufts are. It's the size of a Canadian quarter. And on the left, far left, is what we'll be making today, is a flower. And before we get started on that, I want to show you guys other artists who went from an artist to entrepreneur. Who here has heard of the littlest Inukshuk? Yes, I see a few hands going up. Where do you know where they're from? No? Well, she's from Makovik. That's here in Labrador. I'm very bad at geography, but that's here. This is the community.
Ooh, fantastic. We have people here from Makovik. And did you know that littlest Inukshuk was from there? Yeah, no? Few yeses, few no's. Great. Well, now you know. So she currently lives in Alberta. She does fantastic work. Her work, she makes a lot of jewelry, which is really beautiful. She has her own website. As you can see, she has accessories, clothing line, prints, everything. And you can tell that everything works for her. She has a logo, she has a brand, she has a style. If you notice the way her photos look, they all look very similar. So the other artist I'm going to show you is Porcupine Kunik. Who here has heard of them? Fantastic. Do you know where they're from? Yep. So I'm probably going to butcher your guys' community name. I apologize. Rigolette. Yep, Rigolette. So she's from there. How fantastic is that? So she went from an artist, and I just grabbed this from her website. She lived in an isolated community. And now because she has children, she was like, you know what? I have the time. I'm going to create art. So she went from artist to entrepreneur. She now owns a very successful business. And her website is also fantastic to look at. Once again, her work is phenomenal. And she prices her artwork very fairly. The other last artist I want to talk about is Victoria's Arctic Fashion. Who here has heard of VAF? A few hands up? Yeah. Okay, so in my opinion, Victoria's Arctic Fashion, I think she was the one who started it all. Her parkas are fantastic. She's been on runways. She's been in magazines. Her work went from traditional to modern to contemporary. It's just wow. And what she makes, she's from my community, Rankin Inlet, Nunavut. She makes parkas. She is an artist, a true artist to entrepreneur with her own business. Okay, again, we're going to aim for progress and not perfection. Do you guys have any questions for me? No, a lot of.
I want to try and connect this a bit back, Haley, to the program that you now instruct. So Haley is an instructor for Small Economy Works. So she is one of the people that are young participants who aren't often high school age, but sometimes are. Actually, we have a few 15-year-olds in our program in Yukon, but she takes our participants through the program as an instructor. So for 12 weeks, she will work 3 times a week with these young people to help build their skills. First, in the first 6 weeks of the program, foundational skills. So a lot of self-exploration, community exploration, a lot of working on people's ability to communicate and interact and problem solve in a digital environment, but also in person, now that COVID restrictions are letting us meet again in person. So she was in Clyde River recently, working there with participants. And then in the second part of the program, our participants work through a business model canvas, which we've developed from an Indigenous lens. So it's very circular and interconnected. And so that's when people start to actually try and test out, validate, prototype their ideas to the point where they have a concrete idea that they might want to bring into the real world and start to work through trying to establish a small business. And that's where you get into that sort of gamification process. So a lot of work around operations, marketing, budgeting. What else is in our level 2? Mission statements, all of that kind of stuff that would be taught in more traditional business classes, but still very much through a Northern Indigenous lens. Sorry, my question after sort of setting that up is, how would that have helped you, or how have you seen that? Because you didn't go through the program, but you've learned how to become an entrepreneur through the program. So how has that been helpful in terms of actually getting you from just making things to actually selling and making a $25,000 profit?
All right, guys. So that was a fantastic question. Thank you, Rachael. So how I used this program is that I went through the curriculum while I was teaching or facilitating, and I got a lot of tips and tricks from our curriculum. It was really great. So the thing is that school, and I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but school was not for me personally. It was fantastic. I did try it, but it was not for me. What I wanted to do was become an artist. And so I learned from this program how to become an entrepreneur, a small business owner. I learned how important it was to have like a mission statement, how important it was to do marketing, how important it was to learn about yourself and your community to find the gaps, which you would need to bridge over to fulfill. So yeah, any questions?
Can I put Anna and Heather on the spot a little bit, just in terms of, because I think it would be really interesting to hear sort of your perspective in terms of you're musicians. But do you kind of see yourself as entrepreneurs as well? And if so, how or how not?
Yeah, well, I was saying to you the other night, I wish there was a program like this when we were younger, but we both work as musicians, but also our main thing is that we work as music therapists. And where we're from in Nova Scotia, when we graduated from our program, there weren't any jobs we could apply for. So I found it a real struggle I identified with my career as a musician or music therapist, but when I had to then all of a sudden become a business owner and an entrepreneur, I didn't have any of those skills. So I learned probably a lot slower than you did, really, about all those like systems, the things that you're talking about, the mission statement and the spreadsheets and all that stuff. And it took me many years to kind of, I guess, feel like I was succeeding at it, and kind of identifying as both a business owner and
certainly, I feel like I'm 20 years almost since I graduated, and I am behind you, Haley, in all of that business, because I guess I have my hands in so many different work projects, but I'm surviving and I'm not thriving because I'm still trying to talk about this winter going into a bit of a makeover so that I can pull back a little bit and come out stronger because I can be more clear about my product. And so reach into and take over. So I guess that saying work. Not as hard a work that.
But yeah, I am interested when I hear you break down, you've got the mission of being accessible. Right? You want your service to be accessible, but that you're only paying yourself minimum wage, and that's only for the hours that you're doing the crafts, not to mention all those spreadsheets and writing your mission statement, and that you're thinking about it probably all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, when will you get to that next step of that? I deserve more than you. That's my question.
That's a great question. When will I charge myself not minimum wage? Like, when will I say, hey, you deserve not minimum wage? I don't know that yet. That should be a goal of Haley's Handicrafts. Thank you for that question. I will definitely think about that.
It's hard
because you're right. I am only charging myself minimum wage. for just the crafting. That doesn't count for the social media posts or the website building or the vendor going to markets to become a vendor. I don't count for that at all. And so the thing about Haley's Handicrafts is that I started out small, just selling on Facebook and Instagram. But then I started going to markets. I started by going to my local craft market in Rankin Inlet, Nunavut. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready. I have products. I'm going to go to Inuit conference. I was a vendor there. I met a lot of people, have a lot of connections now with people I've met from there. And as well as I attended a fashion show where my clothing line was being modeled, which was a fantastic feeling. And I'm now at the point where I have higher goals for Haley's Handicrafts.
And once you have higher goals, you'll probably have to start thinking about almost a support team.
Yes.
Like, because that's something I certainly learned is how reaching out to people in my community. If you know, I can't do spreadsheets. I don't enjoy it, and it's like realizing that it's not worth even. It's like you don't like sports, me neither, right? I don't like spreadsheets either. So like finding someone in my community who's willing to help with that.
Yes.
And, so as you grow, you may need that. You'll find your people who are supporting.
And I think that, you know, I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. And I think something that holds us all back is you think you need to be good at it all, and you think you need to do it all. But entrepreneurs are often very good at one thing and not particularly good at certain other things. So it is about finding that community. You don't need to do all the things, although you do in the beginning as a small business owner. But it is about finding those networks. And I think increasingly a huge barrier in the north is maybe you don't have a local bookkeeper and a local illustrator and a marketer, but now digitally you can find all of those people to support you, you know, globally if you want to. And one thing I was going to say is in our level 3 program, the gamification, every single service provider we offer our participants is Indigenous, and that's really important to us. They might not come from the same community or territory even, or same First Nation, but they do identify as Indigenous, and that's a really important aspect to our program, and it's important for our participants. That's what they're asking for. So they don't want a marketer from Toronto. They want somebody who understands their community, their lifestyle, their aesthetic. And so we're working really hard to try and make that happen for them. Yeah. I just wanted to ask, is there anybody else in the room who is a small, I know you're all high school students, but there's a lot of hustling high school students. Is there anyone in the room that has their own sort of small business or a way that you make a bit of money on the side as you're working through your high school courses?
Babysit, tutor.
I'm trying to start one.
Okay, what's your business idea?
It's basically just like art commission. So somebody will like message me and ask me to draw something, and I'll draw it for them, and then they'll just send me the money.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So who have you had some customers?
No, I haven't like set up an account.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of young people in our program that are trying to do that very thing. And I think there's a real need for it. As somebody that's always looking for artists to help enhance our website or our reports, especially in the north, I think you find a market for it. Anyone else? Anyone sell like, I don't know, jerseys on the side to make a bit of money, or when you come into Goose, pick up a few things and then mark them up to make a little extra cash when you sell them at home? No?
Quiet bunch today.
You can start thinking of these ideas while you're here this week.
Who here is wanting to start their own business in the future? Does anybody want to? Oh yeah. What would you like to do? Love it. All right, you?
I want us to sell seal fur and a whole bunch of furs and materials.
Fantastic. We have a furrier here. I will be in contact with you hopefully in the future. And if you do want to take this program, it's fantastic. Once again, it teaches you everything you need to do. You don't have to go to like a professional school for entrepreneurship, in my opinion.
Anything else that we can, so I think, you know, we're going to be working with the students over, I think next week. Oh, Haley, any other photos you want to share here?
So this is just a process of how to make gamik. So basically what you do to make this, which is sealskin boots, is that you start from dehairing the seal, and then you deflesh it, you flesh the seal. And then from there you have to dry it in the sun for natural tan. And then after that, and that's a bunch of our seal skins drying out in the sun. And then you have to soften the fur, which means you use your hands and feet and you start stomping. You tie it up into a ball, stomp on it, and then you clean the fur. After you clean the fur, you cut it out and you start sewing. So it's just a really fast process. Well, it's not a fast process, but that's just a quick explanation on how to make sealskin gamik. And before we start doing the caribou tufting, I'm just going to ask you guys a few questions to see if you were listening. All right. As someone selling their product, why is it important to share your story?
To like try and bring customers in because like they now know why you like started your business and like how it started, so they can probably relate to that and they'll probably be like more like interested to buy from it.
That's a great answer. Thank you so much. So basically, think of yourself as a customer. When you're buying from a company or a person or a business, why do you care about who you're buying from? I do. Let's see, hands up. Who cares about who you're buying from? Yeah, almost everybody in the room. That's great, guys. For that exact reason why. Thank you. Because the reason why I shop from small local businesses is because I love their stories. I love to support local businesses because I find the connection with them more personable. Yeah. And for Haley's Handicrafts, I work one-on-one with people if they are having a custom item made for me. And so big companies, if they do that, they charge a lot of money. But for small businesses, you're getting the experience of talking with someone as well.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up the sort of presentation part. What we will be working with the students on more practical entrepreneurship skills on, I can't remember if it's Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday. So we're with this same group and we'll go through a series of exercises that'll be much more interactive and fun. But this is the sort of presentation part of this. And now Haley's going to spend the next hour doing a workshop with you on caribou tufting.